make a mental average in your head. And it seemed to me that Arian Foster, not last season, but the season before when he came in at the end of the season and kind of took over, he made a name for himself, and that's why he was drafted by a lot of people last season. It's not like Arian Foster went undrafted. He made a name for himself at the end of the season 2 seasons ago. And he's never shown any sort of, he's never looked fluky at all. It's never been like, oh, okay, well, now he looks human. Every game ever since he's been in, pretty much Arian Foster has looked like the real deal. So, to me, that's good enough. That's good enough for this season in these rankings.
Well, I'm pretty high on LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, me too.
If you want to throw out who I'm thinking instead of Foster. But at number 3 in our consensus rankings, we have Chris Johnson in at number 3. And, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, I think the only concerns about him are when he's going to show up. He obviously hasn't been in any preseason activities, not any games, not any practices, and he may not be a valuable pick until week 4. But as far as our running backs are concerned, all things healthy, and if he was playing week 1, he's right there at number 3. Who do we have at number 4, Mark?
Ray Rice, and may not be a more complete back, honest to goodness, in the league. I mean, he runs great out of the backfield, and an addition this year which will make a huge plus for Ray Rice owners. Vontae Leach at fullback leading the way is going to open even more holes for Ray Rice this year.
I thought you were going to say Ricky Williams.
Yeah, big difference. Yeah, Ricky Williams.
No doubt. All right, we have the guy I was talking about at 5, Eric.
LaShawn McCoy, and I have him at 5 on my personal list too, and he could finish much higher. He's in that Philadelphia offense. Remember where Brian Westbrook was a top fantasy running back for a few years in that offense because of all the balls he caught and how big of a factor he was. And so I think LaShawn McCoy is going to fit right in that same mold and pretty much go crazy this year if he can stay healthy. I like LaShawn McCoy a lot.
I don't think we've seen everything McCoy can do yet.
No.
Because the offense is such that it doesn't really use the running back as much as it could. I mean, the number of times he was passed to, he caught 87% of the number of targets. He's reliable out of the backfield.
Yeah, nice hands.
I still think his total talent level is untapped yet.
That's why I'm big on him. I think he's very similar to AP, whereas if Vic gets in trouble or whoever it is, Vince Young gets in trouble, if they're smart about it, they can just dump it off to McCoy. And again, another fun guy to watch after the catch.
Yeah, very much. And in my Madden franchise, he had some fumbling issues, but that was my video game. I don't know how.
Not the same, but he did have some issues down the stretch last year. I remember definitely even in the postseason. Sometimes you're not playing fantasy leagues in the postseason, but he did have some fumble issues if you are concerned with that, and if they are negative points in your league. At 6, we have MJD, kind of the same concerns as far as Chris Johnson, although he is in camp, but I just worry about the consistency of that team and how that offense is going to be run this year. But MJD, still someone to value and still someone that you should draft early.
Absolutely.
In your league, we have him at number 6. Number 7, a guy that keeps falling on our list anyway, but seems to be on the rise in so many other leagues. Mark.
Jamal Charles, we talked about him earlier. I mean, talent-wise, he's probably a top 3 guy, but you've got the schedule, you've got the system itself. I mean,
you got Thomas Jones.
Thomas Jones still is in the mix. I don't know why.
Fighting rookies in the locker room.
I just wish Haley would just come to the realization that Jamal Charles is his guy, give him about 80% of the carries, and let it go. But he just won't do it. For that reason, I can't put Charles in the top 3 or 4.
And you have to look at, to me, I always try to get guys from teams who win. And that's such a main thing for me playing fantasy football. And there are so many question marks about that Kansas City team this year. I'm wondering if they're going to find themselves throwing so much in the second half that Jamal Charles is only a factor for 2 quarters of football most of the time. So, I'll take him on my team, but I'm not going to take him first. If I'm picking late in a draft, I'll pick him as my first running back, but I don't feel that good about it.
Here's a guy we all like on the field anyway, a former Fighting Illini in at number 8. I don't know about all of his comments off the field, but on the field, he's a pretty good player.
That's not what we play fantasy for. He can say whatever he wants. Mendenhall I like. I like. I'm going to keep him in our Yahoo league. I'm going to hold on to him. He's feature back. Those are they're a dying breed in the NFL, and he's one.
On a pretty good football team.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, Steelers, I think, are going to score quite a few points this year. I like Mendenhall.
A younger version of Michael Turner doesn't do a lot out of the backfield. 28 catches last year. I'd like to see him bump that and get more around 48, and he'd be a lot more draftable in a PPR league.
Yeah, non-PPR, I'd move him up a little bit from this 8 spot, maybe. And same with a guy like Sean Green, who's down our list a little bit. I'd move those guys up a little in a non-PPR league.
Agreed.
Mendenhall in at 8, another local guy or local appeal anyway. In at number 9 on our list is Forte, and we have him a little bit high as far as my rankings. I don't think I have him in at number 9, but Forte, I think will have a decent year this year, and probably a better year fantasy-wise than he did last year.
Really, I have him at number 9 on my own personal list, but deep inside, I'm seeing Marion Barber in town.
I have him at 14.
And I'm wondering,
Touchdown vulture.
Yeah, I really am. And I'm thinking,
it's possible.
I'm thinking Forte is going to have to catch quite a few balls this season to finish in the top 10. And he's certainly capable of doing that. But, you don't bring Marion Barber to town to sit on the bench and watch Matt Forte, score all the touchdowns. Barber's going to be a part of that offense.
Now, Forte, 62 receptions last year for 525 yards, and that's what makes him a viable, draftable threat in PPR leagues. But you're right, Marion Barber has to worry you a little bit when you get in the red zone that he's going to vulture away a few touchdowns.
I'm telling you, Julius Jones all over again.
And Forte only had 6 rushing touchdowns last year anyway.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of times he got stuffed at the one. I don't know how many games I watched where he couldn't get in, so... Marion Barber, touchdown-only leagues, could be a nice play.
Rounding out the top 10 mark, a guy that Eric and I root for, but got hurt at the end of last year. And I don't have a whole lot of faith in him this year, but you have Frank Gore in at number 10 on our consensus list.
Oh, boy. Frank Gore's got all the ability in the world, and I don't know if something's just not clicking there. He barely made 1,000 yards last year, had 55 receptions, not bad. He had 10 total TDs. But they're just, every year, it just seems like he underperforms a little bit, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's the system. Maybe with the new coach and that.
So does that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, team's bad. He's getting older. Earlier, before he even got to the NFL, didn't he have 2 total knee replacements? This is a guy who, you can't look at that 30, that age of 30 and say that's the drop-off. Knock a couple years off for Frank Gore, and I think that's about where he is right now anyway. So I have Frank Gore number 14. And essentially making him a running back number 2, and that's kind of, I'm sticking with that. I don't think he belongs top 10, and I think he's going to fall from here on out. Every year he's going to keep falling, and that team,
I have him at 13 on mine as well, but I really like who we have at number 11. Eric, I know you like him too.
Darren McFadden. We finally waited for that breakout season. It happened last year. If you look at the last few years, like I said to do a little bit ago, you're not going to be that impressed. But, that's why we have him at number 11, because if you just go off last year, McFadden's going to be like a top 5 running back. So we have him at number 11. He'll be, if you get him as your running back number 2, and he has any sort of a season like he did last year, have fun in the playoffs, pretty much.
If he sneezes hard, he misses 3 games.
Yeah, that's
my problem with McFadden.
Steven Jackson, though, he's a little banged up right now, but we have him in at number 12. Been pretty consistent, though, as far as fantasy football has been concerned the last several years, and I think the addition of Cadillac and Sproles is only going to make him more valuable this year because he'll be more fresh throughout the season.
Sproles is in New Orleans. Who did you mean?
That's right. I'm sorry. Who else did the Rams pick up?
They got somebody else.
I wanted them to get Sproles.
Yeah, that would have been good for them.
They ended up not getting Sproles.
They got Cadillac and somebody else, so I'm just mental. I got nothing.
Snelling.
There it is.
They got someone similar but not as flashy as Sproles. I was hoping they would get Sproles. My bad. But I still think Cadillac is going to help keep Steven Jackson fresh because for the past few years, he's been the only guy out of that backfield.
Yeah, the absolute only one, and that's why I'm not that big on him either. Another running back number 2. It's another one of these guys who's dropped from that top level. That first round, you get him and then build around him. Now, Steven Jackson, if you can get him as a number 2, you're looking pretty good. But don't expect 3 or 4 years ago Steven Jackson.
All right, there's our top 12 consensus for the running backs. We have Hillis at 13, Sean Green, that Eric already brought up, in at 14. All right, let's mention a couple of names, maybe some sleepers or maybe a bust. I know Eric already threw out a couple of busts. I think Gore's going to be a bust.
Yeah.
But who have we not mentioned that you think will have a big season?
I like Javid Best this year with LaShore being out if Best can be healthy. Boy, he showed at the beginning of last season, he really showed some flashes of some nice stuff. So if he can stay healthy, with Shores out, Javid Best could have a nice year. I